Great to see such a wonderful turnout for many of these. This is the third one I've been to, and they've all been pretty much standing room only. And in this room, that's an impressive feat. So thanks everyone for coming out. So I am Nancy Bray. I'm the Director of Spaceport Integration and Services here at the Center, and we are one of the partners with SNMA for Safety and Health Day. So we're very excited to share in this week with SNMA, and we kind of bring you the health side of the safety and health. And today, I'm very honored to introduce the next speaker, who is Faith Chandler. And if you've been reading the ads, you probably know what I'm going to tell you. But just for completeness, Faith is the Director of Strategic Integration within the NASA's Office of the Chief Technologist up at NASA headquarters. She does have roots here in Brevard County. She used to work for Boeing down here at KSC. She was in the engineering department and was a lead in human factors. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology from Purdue University, and then from our own Florida Institute of Technology, she has a master's degree in engineering psychology. So she has put all that knowledge to work and has, I believe, 3 patents that I understand, and has several inventions and software that's being used across the country within the agency and outside the agency, about 74 different organizations using it. So Faith is here today to share her family's experience as she describes the catastrophic fire that took their home and changed she and her family's lives forever. So she'll talk to us about how you can better prepare your family and how you can reach out to help other victims of disaster. So Faith is also going to be doing an encore presentation tomorrow morning, I think, 10 o'clock in the mission briefing room. So if you have friends that didn't get to make today's presentation, be sure and tell them that they can catch it tomorrow morning in the mission briefing room at 10. With that, I'd like to introduce Faith Chandler.
Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me? Oh, good. Okay, mic's on. First of all, it's really nice to see so many familiar faces. This is my stomping ground. My husband Scott and I, we worked here on the shuttle. We worked on the space station. I worked Delta Rocket as well, and also in the ONC. So I've been all over this facility from 1992 to 2002 when we moved to Washington. So part of the reason I'm here is because I wanted to bring this message to you. And the first reason is because these things seem to always happen to somebody else, but it didn't. It happened to me, and I'm part of your family. And there's actually another NASA member of our family actually going through this right now that's a different place in this path, and it's a hard path. This is a very fresh thing for me, so I'll be good. I'll try, but I can't promise because it is still very close. So I wanted to start with this picture. It's kind of a powerful picture. Could you imagine if that was your home? Could you imagine that? Now, I put this up here because it shows how vulnerable we are. We're all like so incredibly vulnerable. In an instant, your whole life is different. Everything that you know is different. And it could be from a fire, but it could be from a hurricane. You could face a hurricane. It could be from a tornado or a flood. So what I'm going to tell you about is things that you can take away that could help you, even if it's not a fire. So I want to make sure that you realize that this disaster that we faced here, it's something that you can't control, but you can be prepared. You can be safe. You can be a survivor. And you can make the right decisions today that can help you in the future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about our story, what happened to us, and how we have had to recover from the unexpected. And in doing so, in telling our story, I hope you get 2 things out of it. The first thing I want you to get out of it is how to prepare. What do you need to do? I want you to walk away today with an action plan, what you think you can do to help yourself. And the other thing I want you to know is what it means to help another person. And you're going to hear some of the things that I'm going to tell you what others did for us. And some people even here today at Kennedy helped us. And how powerful that is. And make sure that you're aware that no matter what you do to help another, it's amazing, especially if they're going through such an event. So for us, it started on a Sunday morning. Sunday morning 2 years ago. And that Sunday morning, I'm laying in bed. My husband, Scott, anybody know Scott from the audience? Some of you probably know him. He's a golfer, so you know where he was, right? He's off doing his golf thing. And I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get up and go to church. Now, my daughter is home from college. She's in med school, and she's in the next room. And I wake up, and I'm like, well, gosh, I smell something kind of funny. I think I smell burning toast. And I look around, I'm like, well, I don't see anything. And I yell to her, because I'm lazy. Hey, did you burn something? And she said, no. And I said, oh, okay. I got up, and I looked around, and I didn't see any smoke. I didn't see anything. So took a shower, and off we went to church. We go to church, and after church, we decide to go to the grocery. Most of us, you guys know that plan, right? And I get to the store, and I look down, and my cell phone is like loaded with messages. And I'm like, honey, go ahead and go in. Let me stay outside, get good reception, and see what's going on. So the first message, hey, Faith, this is Sabina. I'm in Italy. So sorry you lost your house. What can we do? I'm thinking, Sabina, you're in Italy. My house is fine. It's a sunny day. What is she talking about, right? And then the next phone call. Hey, Faith, it's Betsy. Now, Betsy's my neighbor. She lives a few doors down. We're on vacation in Pennsylvania. So sorry you lost your house. I'm thinking, okay, that was weird. And then the third one. So now I'm standing on the corner going, oh my gosh, what does this mean? And this woman comes up to me and she's like, are you having a heart attack? I must have looked like that. And I said, no, but something about my house. She goes, oh, it must be the one that burned down. Well, that's kind of how I found out, and that was my house. So I called my husband and I said, hey, where are you? And he said, I'm coming into the neighborhood. There's a fire somewhere. I said, it might be ours. And so that's how we learned. Now, how did it happen for the people around our house? Well, that day, pretty much so everybody on our street was out of town. They were going, church or out. Nobody was there. And actually, they weren't around for a few streets away. And Kaz, this guy in the blue shirt, was 4 streets away, out in his yard working when part of my roof fell into his yard, burning. And he said, oh my God, something's on fire. And he turned and he saw that pillar of smoke. And so he took off, called 911, and then headed over to our house. And when he got to our front yard, he met Robert Kalin. And Robert was a friend of my daughter's. And Robert, he comes out and he says, oh my God, that's Faith's car. They're home. Oh my gosh, it's right there in the drive, and there's a car in the garage, so we got to help them. And so these guys, they want to save us. And so what they did was they kicked in the front door. Now, how many people have seen Backdraft? What happened? All that fire, out the front, back of the house goes up. Now it's really big. They're lucky they lived. Now, I'm grateful that neighbors tried to save us. But at the point at which they arrived, it would have probably been too late, and they risked their own lives to help us. And then the fire station shows up with the first truck. One truck, one little fire extinguisher. And the guy thinks it's a kitchen fire. It's a Sunday morning, it's a kitchen fire. And I'm going to tell you why he thought that in a minute. So he can't even get the hose off the truck because it's just one guy. So these 2 guys become firemen for the day. They help him get the hose off. They run out of water right away, even though the hydrant is at the end of my driveway, because they didn't have the equipment to hook up. It took another 20 minutes before the other truck showed up. Another 20 minutes. And then it looked like this. 10 fire stations. It was a 10-alarm fire. We caught 2 houses on fire, one on each side of us, and the county park behind. So now it's raging. Flames 70 foot above the house, and they're trying to contain it because now the whole neighborhood's going to go. And they're trying to figure out how to stop it. So the captain, first he does what you'd expect, it's one more. He sends people in to look for us. Well, we weren't there, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But then he makes a decision that it's too late. And so they set up a perimeter, and they let ours burn down while they saved the rest, which was the right thing to do. Lots of firemen. So all this is going on, by the way, while I'm at church. Can you see how this is going? Yeah, this is all going on while I'm at church. Lots of firemen. They got about 100 paramedics, firemen, police officers, crowds of people. Kind of an amazing crowd. And then, again, 2 firemen go in to try to save us. This gentleman's crawling in, which is a bathroom window, and you see him here over here standing in the bathtub, actually. He was injured, as was another. They were both hospitalized from this, trying to help us. And so very brave, risking their lives to save us, even though we weren't in the house. So about this point is when I'm headed back. You know, my husband is arriving, and I'm headed back. And this is what we arrived to find. And on my way into the neighborhood, by the way, there's these little kids with their little plastic fireman hats. Now I'm driving into my neighborhood. Little kids with and signs that say, collecting money for the family that lost their house. And I'm thinking, I haven't even seen it yet. This is way too much drama because it can't be real, okay? This is how I'm thinking. It can't be real. It can't be real. Way too much drama. So we arrived to see this. A lot of smoke. I have asthma. What happens to people with asthma and a lot of smoke? Really not good. And what happens when there's a lot of firefighters and paramedics that are standing around? You get a lot of help in the front yard of your neighbor. Wasn't the greatest experience. And then the day begins. So I couldn't sit close to the house. I couldn't even get close to the house because I couldn't breathe around it. So I had to sit a few doors down on the curb. So now I'm in my Sunday church clothes with my daughter and my husband, and we're watching this go on. So 8 o'clock at night. So we arrived around 12:45. At 8 o'clock, the fire chief says, we're going to let you come and see. We're going to let you come and see what happened. And this is what it looked like. And he says the fire was more than 3,000 degrees. 3,000 degrees for more than 2 hours. You know how he knew that? Because that middle picture, that's my kitchen. And there were granite counters all over, and they melted. And this picture down here of the toilet, that's porcelain. It melts at 3,200 degrees, and it was melted. So basically, this was a hot fire. And he says, it's going to take a day to cool. It's 8 o'clock at night. It's going to take a day to cool, and then we're going to come back and begin. And I'll tell you a little bit about what that means. But so this is what it looked like. Now, between that 12:45 and 8 o'clock, a lot of things are going on. For example, for us, we're sitting on the curb, and the American Red Cross shows up. How many people here are part of the American Red Cross? Anybody? The American Red Cross shows up to every single family fire. Did you know that? I knew they went to the hurricanes. I knew they went to the tornadoes, but they come to your house. And they send an adult for every adult there. And that adult walks with you because the way I grieve is different than the way my husband grieves or my child. And they make sure that you're okay. And they walk with you through that day. But they're also really good at these emergencies, and they know what to do. And so here's what the American Red Cross lady says to me. Faith, real soon, you're going to have to sign a contract today. A contract to board up this house by law. You have to board up this house. It's going to cost you about $5,000, maybe $10,000. You're going to have to make that decision right now. Here's what's going to happen. That fire chief is going to release the barricade, and all those people that you see staring are going to be on top of you because those are all the ambulance chasers, the lawyers and the builders. And they're all going to be here with their cards, and they want you to buy whatever they're selling. And I thought, that's not happening. I got to board up, so what do? So I call my neighbors that are close to me around, and 2 other families that showed up to walk us through this path. They saw the fire, they had fires, and they showed up. So I got the Red Cross, these families and neighbors, and I said to them, go up into the crowd, gather all the cards, figure out who's out there, bring them back, and we'll vote. And that is what we did. We laid them on the ground, and I said, how about this one? Does that one look good? Okay, they're hired. Somebody go find them. Let's sign a contract. Because I wasn't going to have all these people. I mean, when you're there and you're in disbelief, what are you going to do? So here's the kind of things that they tell you have to do. You have to notify the insurance company. Sounds like something simple. I didn't think of it until the Red Cross lady said, you got to call them. I was like, oh yeah, that's probably true. You know, because you're still kind of going, oh my God, what's going on here? You have to board up and protect. You also have to find important, valuable things. throw tarps over it. You hear this, but how do you do it to something like this? That's kind of, you're kind of like, you're kidding, right? You're kidding, right? So there's a lot of things that you have to do. You have to find a place to stay. 5 weeks we were in a hotel before we went into a rental. So you have to do a lot of things. So the boarding up is a really important thing. It's not just to protect people from coming in and taking your things, but from getting hurt. So it's an important thing. You also have to hire. You have to hire a company to come and take pictures and assess all the things that are in there. That's what your insurance company requires. That company costs $14,000. Okay, why am I telling you all this? You're going to start adding this up, and you're going to realize you think you have insurance, and I'm going to tell you you don't have what you think you have. That's part of the story here. I want you to think about what I'm telling you. These are unheard of. Unless you go through it, who tells you this? This is the script. This is how it plays out. So basically, they come, and you have to go through this ash. You have to dig through it every day, and look for anything that resembles something you remember. Maybe it's a soccer medal that your child earned. You know, who knows, but you're looking. And they bag this stuff up in these bags, and they can't even take it to the dump until you personally dig through it and okay it and check it off. So it's very emotional all the way through the process. So there's us digging. Now, I have to tell you a little bit about the story, a few things about the story. First of all, I told you we were in our Sunday clothes, right? So I have lost. I go to the hotel the first night. Let's think about this. I've lost everything. I don't have a hairbrush. I don't have a toothbrush. I don't have clothes. I don't have. We show up at the hotel without a suitcase. That's kind of a weird feeling. I guess we're using the hotel shampoo. You know, well, we learn that you have to find humor, because if you don't, this is just way too hard. But we're there at the hotel, and they're telling us we have to show up back to the house every day to meet all the investigators and all the people that are at the house every day. So the second day, we're still in our Sunday clothes. The third day, we're still in our Sunday clothes. So we're in the same stuff. And now we got to go in and dig. So people, thank God for neighbors, thank God for people that are kind, start bringing us clothes. So they bring you what they think. They said, well, what size? I'm a 4. Okay, so I'm a size 4, kind of tall. So I get these pants. They're about this, high, really nice floods. I got this beautiful extra large man shirt that says, I have gas. I'm not kidding. And size 11 men's boots. That was my outfit. My husband, again, borrowed clothes. His pants are too short. My daughter. So these are things that people donated. We're looking pretty good. Day 3, before we go in here, we're thinking it'd be really nice to have clean underwear. I'm serious, right? It's Wednesday. It's been a while. So can you imagine us going to Walmart? We go into Walmart. What do you think happens at Walmart? Can you imagine seeing us coming? No hairbrush, no makeup. Imagine it. It's looking good. I'm like, what do they call that, fashionista? I go in there, and what does everybody do? They stop, and they stare. And I said to my girlfriend when I got back, oh my God, that was the weirdest thing. Like, the whole store stopped to step back and watch you come by. I'm one of you guys. We have pride. We have jobs. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And I come back and I said to my girlfriend, it was like we were the homeless people. And she said, Faith, you are. I said, oh my gosh. So here we're digging through our stuff. This top picture, it's everything that we found out of our four bedroom upstairs. So we had a 3-floor house, a 2nd floor, 1st level. So that's what we found, just that one little picture. Why were there drawers? It's kind of an interesting thing, because when the wall falls over, the drawers kind of shoot out of the dresser and underneath things, and the roof falls, and then, oh, there's a drawer. Nothing in it. It's got a drawer. Yay. So we found some interesting things. My daughter celebrating, finding something. This picture of my husband is probably one of the favorite pictures. I was photographing some of this as we were searching, and he said, I think I found something. Our file cabinet with all our bills was in our bedroom. And this was the kitchen, and it fell into the kitchen. Now it burned up all the way down. So think about your file cabinet, all the way down to the middle of the file cabinet. And he found the papers, and you see the burned edges. You know what that was? It was our marriage license. And I said, I guess we're still married. But, you know, seriously, that's where we were. So when we're dealing with all this, amazing people are coming. The Red Cross, like I told you, came. I actually took the training to be a Red Cross volunteer while I was still homeless, because I could not believe the impact they made on our lives. And I want everyone to know, you do CFC here, donate. This is real. They show up. They show up and they really, truly help. I don't know how we would have made it through that first day without them. Other people showed up. 2 of the families up here, they had their house burned down and they taught us what to do, and they are still with us today. Strangers are still some of our best friends now, showing up to tell us what to do. The group in the middle, Betsy, this is the lady that called me and said she was on vacation. She came back early from vacation to be my XO to help manage the crowds that showed up every single day. While we're in that ash digging, there are people outside our house trying to sell us things. They want things from you. They want whatever it is. And she's collecting whatever they had and coordinating everything around us, which was absolutely amazing. Some of the most important things that you need when you lose everything and you want to help somebody, basic necessities. They need food, they need water, they need a place to stay, and they need clothes. I'm telling you, we didn't have a toothbrush. It doesn't take much. People showed up with amazing things. Somebody showed up with boxes. We didn't have any place to put the things we were finding. Somebody put sheets on the ground so we could lay papers to dry. These things just kind of like showed up. Somebody, like the schoolers, people brought this food and they just said, here, when you're ready for a break. And then Betsy would come in and say, Faith, it's 4. You should eat now. You know, we'd be there all day digging in the ash. Time, who knows where time is when you're there. And they helped cook meals, a lot of amazing things. So why am I telling you all this? Because you can do this. They also help us look for our pets. And I didn't tell you this, but when we lost the house, we lost everything. We lost our house, we lost the car, we lost our babies. But at the beginning, we didn't know. And so the fire department, they said, a lot of animals get out. So go every day. Search for them, feed them for 8 days. For 8 days we went and put food out. The neighbors searched with us, and then we found it. So it's kind of hard. People cook for us every day that we were in the hotel and we couldn't cook for ourselves. We didn't cook a meal. And I can tell you, if the food wasn't there, we wouldn't have eaten. I can tell you that after you get done digging in ash for 8 or 10 hours, you're not cooking. Thank God for the people that showed up to help us. These children that I talked to you about raised $1,000 in a week. Kind of amazing. Another little girl made bracelets. Other people did things like pray with us. They brought us even things to the hotel, flowers. Who would think that someone would bring flowers to the hotel? I thought it's kind of amazing how wonderful people are. They helped us find a place to stay. They came and did our laundry. Why am I telling you all this? Because no act is too small. I always thought you had to do something grand to help. You only have to do one thing, because if everybody just does one thing, that family survives. So that's something to know. I know every one of you here knows somebody that's been through a major loss. You don't have to be there every day, but if you could just be there one day for that person, just one day, it makes a huge difference. So what's the chance that this happens to you? It's pretty high. Most likely, if you have a fire, it's going to be a cooking fire. That's why they sent one truck with a fire extinguisher, because that's the majority of the fires. Ours was an electrical fire. Only 8% of the fires are that. How did ours start? Ours started up in this corner of the house. It was between the ceiling of the kitchen and the floor of the bedroom, right under my bed. It was electrical wiring that was running under the bed. And the reason that I could smell it, but I couldn't see it, is because the fire hadn't gotten out of those boards. So it's running underneath my bed when I was laying there. Can you imagine if I'd slept in? It would have been a different day. They believe, the fire department came with 5 teams, 2-man teams, and the insurance company with 1 2-man team. 6 total teams, 12 people investigated for a few weeks. They were looking for everything. It's a big industry. You know why? They want to pin it on whatever failed, because then somebody's going to pay for the policy that the insurance company is going to have to pay. So it's really important. They found the toaster, so we learned it wasn't the toaster. And they believed it to be this light back in the corner. If you don't know how fire moves, it's kind of interesting. It moves in a V shape. So it started in that corner, and when the floor burned through, dropped to the next room, the V changed its location to a lower level, the second V over here, and then the third, and the fire's kind of marching across the house. So that one wall, that outside wall that you see where the yellow arrow is, that was the place that was left. So that's the picture of that room, and you see in that room that there's a bookcase. And you see the Tiffany lamp, the glass is melted, so it's pretty hot. But in that little door there, you can see that my albums were in there, and that took $18,000 to repair. Now, why would I spend that much money? Because what is in your albums? Your photos. Why do you need them? You have to prove that you had what you had to get your money back in your insurance policy. It's not like your car. It's not like your car. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. In the United States last year, 500,000 people had a home fire like this. That's a lot. And of those 500,000, about 26,000 were electrical, and only 2,000 were undetermined like mine. So that kind of shows, it might not be mine, but I'm telling you that natural disasters, whether it's hurricane, a fire, name it, the things that I'm going to tell you, you need to prepare, because you can survive. When you look at a house fire, you know how people die? They die by trying to rescue others, or they die by rescuing pets. Like the gentleman at my front door who risked their lives, or if I had been in that house, you know I'd been coming after these guys. So think about that. Think about what your plan is. And are you going, what are you going to do? And I would say, just like the gentleman that was before me, think about you and your family. Get the people out. I say that today. It's easy because they were gone, but I might have been the person chasing them and been one of those statistics. So the biggest thing you have to do is understand your insurance. And when I say understand your insurance, how many people in here know what your policy is today? Yeah, neither did I. But I got insurance, right? That's what I thought. I used to be safety, so I'm pretty risk adverse, so I'm probably pretty good. I probably have that thing called replacement cost. It's probably okay, right? I had absolutely no idea what was in that policy until they show up. And the first thing they do is go, here's what your policy says. You're like, what does this mean to me? The policy has a number of different parts. So I want you to go pay attention to this when you go home, because it's really important to know this, because this is how they get you. If you don't know this information, you cannot protect yourself or your family. One part is the dwelling. That's your house, what it costs to repair your house. One part is the extension. That's the buildings, the deck, the things outside the house. Personal property, which I'll talk about in a minute as well. Loss of use. This is when my house is gone. You saw it, right? I'm still paying a mortgage on that when it's gone. Loss of use is the insurance company giving you the hotel. Okay, so that's what's happening. I'm paying my mortgage, I'm working, and the insurance company's paying for the hotel. Personal liability is when people want to sue you because there might be harm. So you're thinking, well, nobody got hurt in your house. Well, you know what? We had a lawsuit on this case as well, because the neighbor whose house got caught on fire wanted to blame us for that. I could understand. But the way it works is, if we were negligent, like that fire started because of candles, we would have had to pay for their house fire too. But because it was accidental, we did not. But it's a really good thing to have on your policy as well. Didn't even know it was there. Okay, all interesting things. Demolition. So I want you just to go to your policy. Just pretend your house policy is $100,000. Just pretend. It's replacement cost. Now, chances are that $100,000 is not what it costs to rebuild your house. It's what it costs if you sold it on the market today. It's probably $200,000 to rebuild it. So you already messed up. And then, oh, by the way, they didn't tell you the demolition cost comes out of what they just gave you. So now, ours was $72,000. So now we're 72,000 in the hole before we started rebuilding. Think about that. Think about how much insurance do you have, and do you have enough to really survive if you lost everything? Personal property. How much insurance is enough? What is personal property? They say it's when you turn your house upside down and shake it and everything falls out. It's not just your clothes and your couch. Everybody goes, I don't need that. It's not that much stuff, right? Think about it. It's your blinds, it's your curtains, it's your rugs, it's what's in the garage, it's your Christmas ornaments, it's all those boxes in the basement, it's all your tools. Think about your lawnmower. It's a lot more than you realize. Now let's just pretend. How many clothes do you think you have in your closet? Anybody want to throw out a number? The average American spends $1,700 a year on clothes. And how many years do you keep it? 10 years, 20. Okay, yeah, okay, now how much does just your closet cost? Now add 3 or 4 kids to that. I had 3 kids, okay, so I had a lot of stuff. My husband and I have been married for more than 30 years. We had a lot of stuff. Okay, so is your policy going to cover that? Oh, by the way, so now you think, okay, I have enough insurance. Just pretend. How does the game play out? It's not like when you wreck your car and they just write you a check. The first thing is you have to prove you had that thing you said you had. How are you going to do that? You have to have photographs. Facebook, thank God for Facebook. People started putting pictures on Facebook. If I see a picture of you and there's a bookcase behind you, you know what I ended up doing? I'd look up every title of every book on that shelf so I could figure out how much money was on that bookshelf, because that's the only way you get it back. Now I have to, for that book, pick it, electrical engineering, that book was $100, 5 years old. I have to put it on a spreadsheet. And I have to look up, by the way, on Amazon, how much it costs to replace it. Because if you don't do this, they don't give you the money. So now I say it's $100, right? And I turn that sheet in, and they come back and they go, oh, here's 20 bucks. When you buy it back, we'll give you the rest. So what happens is you have to be very liquid, because you have to be able to buy the stuff and wait for them to pay you back, which takes a while. So it's another thing to think about. So it's really important to have pictures. We made a video when we were here in Florida. You know how many people do that? Make a video before the hurricane? Yeah, we did that. Yeah, that was the last time we did it. We've been in Washington for like 10 years, so yeah. Where was the video? In the house. It didn't help us. I also realized that it probably wouldn't help because you have to have pictures. You can't put a video in their spreadsheet, so kind of messes you up a little bit. So take pictures today. Take pictures. Don't just keep them at your house. Give them to your kids. Put them on Facebook. Put a CD or a memory stick in your office desk. Have it a few places. Fire safe. Anybody have fire safe? Oh, you guys are way better than me because I didn't. But I can tell you some things about that fire safe. Okay, our fire was 3,000 degrees for more than 2 hours. Most fire safes are rated 1,700 degrees for 60 minutes. Probably wouldn't have helped. Where's your fire safe? If your fire safe falls, when you lose the second floor to the first floor, it's probably broken open anyway. So guess what happens? All that water comes in when they're putting out the fire, and the basement fills up with water. So if you want to know the best place, if you got a fire safe, I'm going to tell you where the best place to put it. Best place to put it is somewhere about 2 to 3 feet off the ground. Why? Because when they filled our house up, 2,000 square foot basement with water, it was knee deep and, like a little bit higher than knee deep. You want to be higher than that, the water, but you want to be lower than the black smoke and the crap that's coming down. So somewhere around here at the lowest level of your house so it doesn't fall. That's where you want your fire safe. And then pray to God it's on that far corner of the house that it doesn't burn up. So where do you put your extra keys? This is where we kept ours. Now you saw that car out in the driveway and you're thinking, well, you had one car, right? It worked. See all that mud? That was us digging through that mud, trying to find our keys, which were melted. There wasn't anything left. They were in that mud somewhere. What happens to today's cars? Can you just go get a key? You can if you have a key, but if you don't have a key, they have to come take your car. They have to order a new computer. They have to put a new computer in. I mean, it's a big process. So now we're down a car, actually 2. So kind of think about how all this plays out. So how did we survive? One of the things that we did was we learned that you have to have humor And you have to have people around you. Thank God for all the people. The people were amazing to us. And this one lady, Mrs. Mastrangeli, gave us a book. The very first day, she showed up at the fire scene and she said, here, every time something funny happens, write it down. And every night, read it, because that's all you got right now. It's a black, dark, dark place that you're going. You're going to be there for a while. It's very sad, and it's hard to come out. So find humor in every day. That's what she told us, find humor. So we tried. So this one was the first one on the left was my daughter's, it was a few days in, and she realized that she had just picked up her dry cleaning. She was like, if I had just waited one more day, I'd have had something to wear. So we thought that was kind of funny. This is one of my kids' bedrooms, and you can see the room was pretty well destroyed. The bedding was destroyed, but when we pulled the burned bedding off, the mattress is kind of amazing. Flame-retardant mattresses save lives, guys. Look at that. It didn't burn. But we also noticed the fire starter logs in the basement, they didn't burn either. So it's not your fault. I can't get them started, neither could this. So how do you survive? You survive with the goodness and grace of God and all the people that are around you. 8 months after the fire, we got to think about demolition. But in our state, we didn't get put at the front of the list. We're in the queue with everybody else. It wasn't until I was speaking in front of an audience of about 450 people for the American Red Cross, and someone said, where are you? And I said, well, it looks like that right now. And they said, why? And I said, because the county hasn't given us a permit. Guess who was in the audience? The guy from the county. And all his friends around him got him. They came and told me after my speech. And next thing I know, I have a permit on Monday. Amazing. But, and then we got to rebuild. We rebuilt the house. We moved in April. And it was kind of a humbling experience we had, because we were in an apartment, or excuse me, the hotel and then a furnished rental. And so we move in and we have some dishes and some clothes and, you know, a few of the things that were found in the fire, and a mattress. Literally a mattress on the floor. You know, a blanket and a mat. I mean, think about this. We had more when we left college than we had when we moved in this house. And we're still working on that. We today have 8,000 items left to buy to put our house back together. And we're trying to live all of this every day when we leave this place called NASA where we work. And so many of you know me and you see me every day. And so I say to you, if you know somebody, and a lot of people here have some trauma that they've gone through. Maybe somebody died, maybe this is their parents, or they're helping somebody. If you see them and they're having a bad day, it might not be you, it might be something else. Just be a friend for a day, help them out. You would be amazed how powerful it is. So to finish this up, I'm hoping that you leave here with a few pieces of information. One, if you don't do anything else, just go check your insurance. Figure out what you got. Are you covered? Are you covered the way you want to be covered? Take some pictures. Get a fire safe. And if you don't do anything else, help the next guy. Because you know here in Florida there are tornadoes and hurricanes all the time. Don't leave those people standing. You know, don't leave them standing. So now I'm ready for your questions.
I think when you were talking about pictures, there was something about you had to have an updated architectural drawing. Is that? What's that?
Yeah. So thank you for that one. So when you go to rebuild, they have to decide what your house looked like. Well, it was gone. So how do they decide what the elevation of the house is? That we didn't have architectural drawings because they're now burned up. So they have to recreate your home. So literally what they did was using Google Maps and Google Earth, got the elevation of our home, and then they had to walk through and recreate it. So this is kind of important, and thanks for bringing this up. When you take photographs, it's not just of your personal belongings, but we had to have photographs to prove the tile that we had, to prove the carpet that we had, to prove what kind of light fixture, what kind of faucet, if we had a chair rail, what kind of windows. If you couldn't prove it, they're going to give you the lowest builder grade they can give you. That's replacement cost. If you've upgraded anything in your house, like the granite, well, prove you had granite, because as far as I know, it's cheap countertop.
Does the receipt count?
It does, but where's your receipt?
In the house.
In the house. Okay, but let me tell you, receipts, direct buy I went to Direct Buy. They gave me everything I ever bought from Direct Buy, everything in the last 10 years. And Sears as well. 2 amazing stores. They keep, scary that they're doing that, but I'm telling you, that was amazing because that helped. So does that answer your question? So we had to recreate the architectural drawing, and that cost, I think it was like $10,000.
You have to have a receipt. Say you got a picture of a china cabinet, and you know what kind it is.
If you have a picture of it, then you look it up on the internet. You have to look it up on the internet, and then you have to find something like that and say, this is how much it costs. So literally, what I did with most of them is I basically got a picture and spent hours and hours looking things up on the internet and saying, that kind of shirt, that kind of suit, those kind of shoes, that whatever it is, costs this much. So you have to prove its value. You send that list in. They give you a small amount of money. You go buy that thing. And then you have to, oh, by the way, look it up again. Item 6,192. You have to put it on the new receipt. Submit the new receipt. Then they pay you back. But they don't get every one of them. So like this weekend I spent checking the list. Oh, they forgot 10 things that I sent in receipts on. So it's like a constant process. It's, yeah.
As opposed to a video.
I would tell you that if you have a video, you're going to have to convert it to pictures because they don't accept videos.
They don't.
No. I don't know any of them. And I've talked to a lot of victims because we kind of gather and learn from each other along the path. And we now teach other families. We've helped a few families now that are going through it because when you're this close to it, there's a lot of things that can save you a lot of money and help you through the process.
Two questions. We've bought photos overseas years ago. We don't have those receipts anymore.
Yeah, we had one of those too.
And we also have, well, there were receipts and they're numbered and everything. And the other thing is, we had furniture, good antique furniture was given to us as a gift. And my husband's parents passed away. No receipts, so would they not replace it?
So what you'd have to do is take the photograph. Hopefully you have a photograph. If you don't, maybe somebody else has a photograph of you sitting on that couch or whatever it is. You take that photograph, you look it up on the internet, and you find something that's of that. So a similar example, I had my great-grandmother's 1910 wedding dress. First of all, prove you had it. So thank God somebody had a picture of I dressed my kid up in it one time, and so I had a picture. Now go look it up and find out how much it's worth. Yeah, and so you have to do that for every item. How many? I just want to ask you, how many belts do you have? How many pairs of shoes? How many pairs of shorts? It's kind of crazy when you start doing this.
Was it worth having a replacement cost?
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I can't imagine having done this. Oh my God, we would. Well, so thank you for asking that because. Have you ever heard people that have insurance and then you find out they're homeless after something like this? It's because maybe they didn't have replacement, or probably they're not as good at Excel as I am. I'm an Excel wizard. Let me tell you what, they thought they were beating me. They're not beating me. They don't get to keep any of that. As far as I'm concerned, it's not happening. But if you weren't good at computers, or you had 3 little kids running around and no time to do this, or you didn't have photographs, you don't get that money back, and you end up staying like we were, homeless. There's no, how are you going to survive that? People give you stuff a little bit at the very beginning, the food and that kind of stuff, but at some point, yeah, you're on your own, bud. And so you don't have that insurance. I can't imagine where we would be today. I can't imagine.
Do you think an umbrella policy, does that help or play into it?
I don't know much about those. I can't. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Do you have any smoke detectors in the house?
We did. But they didn't go off when I was there. Who knows what they did when I wasn't? So, yeah, we did. So.
Faith, I know you're still in the process. How long has it been?
It's been 2.5 years, yeah. Yvette works
And
with me
you're still not
closely.
done.
Yeah, a few people here work with me today, and yeah, they know the days. As a matter of fact, my staff knows that there was a period of time where when we first moved in, like I said, we had a mattress, and then we got a card table and a chair. That was it, man. We were ready to go. And so I would do telecons while the workers were there. Because I had to stay. We literally had to move in the house before it was finished, required by the insurance company. So I'm there, and I'm doing telecons from the house, and they're going, why does it echo so much? I don't know. There's nothing in here. My house, it's an echo chamber. My staff used to laugh at me a lot.
Can you tell us what insurance company
I'll tell you offline only because they're filming, but I will also tell you that I will tell you that the experience that I've had, as many things I'm telling you, is no different than anybody else, and every family that I have talked to is going exactly through the same process. Now, I do know a family that is underinsured, and when you're really, really underinsured, and the insurance company comes in and goes, oh, you have $500,000 worth of personal property, but your policy is only $100,000, they might give it to you real quick and walk. But chances are you already have a bigger problem than that. So, any other questions? Yeah.
If they had sent the proper fire truck to your house, would they have saved your house?
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? If you even here, so it's a great question, because even NASA, I used to teach accident investigation here for NASA, and one of the things I used to teach is an accident isn't just that thing that started it, it's all the things that happen after that make it really, really bad. At NASA, it's, maybe somebody made a mistake and didn't put a bolt on, but the next guy didn't catch it in test, and the next guy didn't catch it in inspection, and so that's the way, to make an accident really bad and you lose a rocket, it's because multiple things happened. And that's the same as my house. It wasn't just that it started. It was that even though I smelled it, the fire detector hadn't gone off yet. Nothing had alerted me really. It was that when people started, when they got there, the truck didn't come right away. It was 13 minutes to respond the first one. And then, like I said, they had all these other things going on. So there were circumstances. And, it is life. And that's where I said to you, you can't control every event, but you can prepare to survive. And so what we're doing is we're surviving. We're surviving. And so you can prepare yourself to survive, because this area is ripe for hurricanes. And I'm telling you, although it looks different, at the end, it feels the same. It feels the same. Yeah.
How about mortgage insurance? You had said that you were still paying a mortgage on the house. And I know that we've gotten letters in the mail, buy mortgage insurance, protect your home, this and that. Do you know anything about it?
Well, here's what I would say. Regardless of what insurance that you purchase, make sure you know what you're doing. Look into it, because I just thought it's good to have insurance. You buy some, right? Do you really understand it? And there's so many fine notes. If you don't understand them, it may not be. So it really depends. I can't really answer, but it really depends on what it is. So you ready?
I think we're about out of time, so I'm going to call it on the questions. But I think Faith will be here.
Yeah, I will be here.
And she'll be here tomorrow, too, tomorrow morning at the ONC.